Hi guys, it's Hannah. Today I have my Camp Half-Blood shirt on, so you know what time it is. It's time to review episodes 3 and 4. I literally have had this shirt since middle school. I'm pretty sure there's like a hole. Yeah, there's a hole in the armpit. I'm surprised that it even fits still. I decided to bring it out today because I haven't brought it out yet. And I didn't bring it out in my reading vlog, which is kind of a crime, to be honest with you. So let's start out with episode 3. So episode 3, we visit the Garden Gnome Emporium. I love that all these episode titles are literally from the books. It just warms my heart so much. And honestly, it was really good. They did change a lot of things, but I honestly really enjoyed it. I feel like they're changing things more for the better. So I have all of my notes here. I will constantly be talking about the set design because I'm just so obsessed with it. I want to go into set design for TV and film. It's just absolutely gorgeous. I think everyone needs to like pay attention more because they really upped their game for it. We open up and Percy's going to go see the Oracle, which is this like literally raggedy woman in the literal attic, like just sitting there, really creepy. His little voice crack when he says hi to it, it was so funny. I honestly think that between episode 3 and 4, they kind of started playing more with like the sarcastic side that Percy has, which I really enjoyed because he is really sassy. But also he's a really unreliable narrator. I don't think we talk about that enough, that he's so unreliable in the books. He will either like oversell or undersell everything that happens. So getting to like actually see it is like really interesting, especially because Rick Riordan had like his hands on this TV show. I always wondered how that they would do this scene because I think that it's really interesting and like really kind of weird that they literally have an old woman that's an oracle in their attic just amongst all of the storage things. But you know, it's the gods and whatever, so I guess whatever. The way that Annabeth was chosen because he wanted someone that wouldn't be afraid to push him down a flight of stairs if need be was so funny, because just seeing their relationship progresses, especially to like Sea of Monsters where he is quite literally carrying around a photo of Annabeth in his wallet. I love it so much. Luke, every time he comes on screen, it hurts me, because his betrayal is just, it's gonna be gut-wrenching. I already know. Because like we don't really know a whole lot about Luke. They don't really include him a whole lot. He was a little bit more involved in the books, at least in like the beginning and like getting Percy like used to the camp and stuff, but because it like they have 8 episodes, they can't obviously include everything. So we'll see how they do the betrayal. But his reaction to when Luke gives him the shoes is so funny. And then when they were on the hill getting ready to leave, and they were talking about the tree and they finally realize that that's Thalia's tree, and Percy gets told like the story and whatnot. Before he even knew that, he was like, she's really gonna miss that tree to Annabeth. And then they explain everything, but that was just so fucking funny. She met a pinecone's fate. I couldn't. They really started bringing out the sass that Percy has. Like, obviously he's a very caring character, as we all know. He's loyal to a fault, has so much love to give. But he's also one of the sassiest people and copes using sarcasm and jokes. So we're finally getting to see that, which is amazing. His personality is coming out more. And then what is the consensus song? That was not in the books, correct? Like, I just did a reread of The Lightning Thief. That was not in it, right? And the way that it came back in episode 4, I literally was thrown off by this fucking consensus song. I literally just did a reread. So like, I don't think it was in the book. And then the way that he says our voting system is broken, it's just so funny. I think I wrote like a lot of his like really random one-liner. Yeah, all of these offhanded lines were insane. I loved them so much. They also have a lot of lines that are quite literally exactly the same as in the book, which is honestly really like fun because since I just did a reread, there's quite a few lines that I literally recognize and I'm like, oh, that was literally pulled straight from the book, which is just always amazing when you're doing like a book to movie adaptation. Annabeth really called Percy out on who he is and why he's so afraid, because we never really like talked a whole lot about that, which was really interesting, and I really liked that Annabeth did that. Auntie M's was creepy. This whole scene was changed. I think that it was for the better. I did enjoy the changes, and I think they did a really good job about it because they really show how Medusa is like a survivor, and in the book they don't really show that and don't really tell her story as much. Honestly, enjoy that change. I do wish that they used the like reflections, but I thought the hat was cool, how they used Annabeth's Yankees hat. Grover ready to take the chance and eat. It was giving the Narnia scene when they're all like really starving on that quest and there's like the big table and they're all like wanting to eat. That was what that scene was giving. The music was not as distracting this specific episode, and also episode 4. I didn't notice it as much. Episodes 1 and 2, I noticed it way too much. Like there were weird cuts, there was like really weird things going on that I talk about in my other episode reviews, and everyone's acting is just so good now. It's like getting so much better. They're getting into their characters. They're like really like warming up to like who they are and exploring their characters, which is so fun to see. Yeah, I wish they used the reflections of the mirrors like in the book. I think that would have provided like a really interesting camera dynamic and like really appealing to the eye. I think it would be really fun for them to like play around with where they position the camera and how they cut scenes and stuff. And then the way he's just carrying Medusa and he's like, my arms are kind of full, and he can't get the door. So fucking funny. I really hope that they explore more of the like really offhand out of the blue lines. I'm glad that they still sent her head to Olympus because that was an iconic move on Percy's part. Lin-Manuel Miranda popping up and that's how they introduced Hermes. I literally couldn't. I couldn't. His look up, oh my god. I died laughing. I died laughing. So it was really entertaining. I'm glad that they did that because it was really fun showing that like it was actually delivered to Olympus. But those are all my thoughts on episode 3. I think they're really starting off going on like a really good direction, and I'm hoping that it continues that way, and based on episode 4 it seems like it will be. So let's move on to episode 4. The only complaint I have of this episode is that it was too short. It ended and I wanted more. I literally screamed at my TV screen, and because I was like, absolutely not. It just stops. But we finally get the arch scene, which is Percy plunging to his death, but then being saved. The lighting, first off, we start with a like flashback dream, and the lighting is absolutely gorgeous. We have Sally and Percy in a pool, and Percy, baby Percy made me cry. Like within literally 3 minutes. Made me start crying because he was like, it's okay, mom, just breathe. That's what you always tell me. And you're never gonna leave me. Oh my god. I had to stop it for a minute and take a minute because I literally started crying. So then we realize that's all a memory, and then we transition to the dreams that Percy's been having, which he's only had, I think, around 2 the past few episodes, and they're getting really interesting, and I'm glad that they're including that. It's a big part of the first book. He keeps keeping it to himself and not really telling anyone about them, which leads into him asking if Annabeth and Grover are asleep, and Annabeth answers yes, which I just thought was so funny. I always forget how like sassy Annabeth is back to Percy, just because I feel like she's always very like calm and calculated and very determined, and I always forget that she's also a little bit sassy. I like that he was really questioning the gods because we haven't really had a time to like sit down and like question all of these things of like why the hell are the gods like this? Like genuinely why? They're just causing so much trouble. They're literally bitter. They hold grudges. And I thought that Annabeth didn't like her dad that much. I know that she didn't like her stepmom, and like the stepmom really did not like her, and she was like ultimately the reason why she left. But her dad was also the reason why she left, because her dad kind of blamed her and didn't really see her as a gift. He more saw her as like a burden, I believe. I don't know if I'm wrong. They might be changing that for the storyline, which I don't really care that much. But the banter this episode was so good. They're really picking up pace. They're like talking and one-upping each other, which is really great to see. Like there's not really any lagging, which is really nice. And they're also just funny. They're getting really funny. Like the first 2 episodes was a little bit kind of iffy for me on like their acting and stuff, but I think they really are getting more and more comfortable and like more knowing their characters and whatnot. And plus they're literally like 12 years old, so like it makes sense. Also, I realized that Grover's not wearing a beanie at all because he was talking to someone and his horns were just out. They kind of like ditched the whole beanie thing, which is interesting. And I guess they're just writing it off as like the mist is covering it. But in the book, they didn't do that. He was wearing a beanie like the entire time. And then Percy was being fucking sassy as shit. He was being a little shit that episode to the mother of all monsters. I'm forgetting her name right now. That specific scene really emphasizes how interconnected all of the Greek myths are and how everyone's related. There's age-old grudges and things that are still coming back, and they basically just use these demigods to get back at their siblings and people who wronged them. So it's really just like showing how fucked everything is. But the shot of the arch in the water, I loved it. It was so good. It was so good. His acting when he gets venom from the chimera was really great. You could see his like slow, not really paying attention to what Annabeth is saying, and then all of a sudden the like drop. Because I had to rewatch that because I was writing my notes, and then all of a sudden he just drops. And I was like, whoa, that was like out of the blue. But then you rewatch it, he's very subtly showing that like something is wrong, and then it just hits. So that was really good. The splashing of them sitting in this little fountain and they're just splashing water on him because it's not deep enough. And he's just sitting there taking it and passerbys are just walking by. That scene really made me realize some of the stuff that they do in the books, like how the outsiders are looking at them and what's going on there. At the end of the book, they like talk about like how the fight with Ares was what the humans like actually saw in the fight with Ares. The blur in the camera because of like the venom affecting him was really good. I feel like this episode, they really started playing with camera dynamics and using them to aid the story, which I just love because it's like, it's so fun playing with that. There's like certain reasons for like certain camera angles and whatnot. I studied photography and video and theater in college, so like getting to like apply everything that I learned the past 4 years to this was really fun. So I honestly think episode 4 is the best one so far. A lot of the shots were really, really well done. Specifically the cuts between the water and him plunging to his death. You don't really know what's going on. He's falling from the top of this arch that's however tall, then the water just coming after him, and then they cut to black, then they show something crazy, and then they cut to black. Like, I loved it. I loved it. I literally wrote, damn, that water murky AF. It was gross. I was getting so invested. That episode should have been longer. It should have been longer. Overall thoughts from these 2 episodes. They're sticking really well to the book, which I'm really happy about. The changes that they're making seem very necessary and they are not distracting. The purpose of me calling those out is just to like showcase like the differences. Does not mean I'm not enjoying it at all. Like I mentioned before, you can really see the actors growing with their characters and getting to know them, which is really, really great. They're really discovering new things, and that's just making their acting even better, which is so much fun to like see, and they're becoming more and more confident and more comfortable around one another, which is really great. Set design, Brian Sutton. Beautiful, amazing. Let me be a set designer and on-set decorator, please. I was trying to find everyone's LinkedIns at the end. I took photos of like everyone that was credited at the end because I was like, I want to find them on LinkedIn. None of them are on LinkedIn. But those are all my thoughts in my handy dandy journal. This is my journal. So cute. Yeah, those are all my thoughts for these 2 episodes. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll be doing probably episode reviews every like 2 episodes because I think that there are 4 more episodes left, which is so sad because then that means we have to wait to see if they got renewed. This has been a long time coming. Uncle Rick deserves it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts were and if you enjoyed it. These are just what I wrote down and all my thoughts currently. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.